Back with Tim Burchett on Inside Tennessee, the Congressman-elect in the 2nd District. And one of the things that the GOP in Tennessee is considering is closing primaries in this state. We're one of a half dozen or so where it doesn't matter your political affiliation, you can vote in another primary. And there's a lot of concern that people who are Democrats should vote in the Democrat primary, and the same on the Republican side. What do you think of the idea of closing the primaries in Tennessee?
I'm a little scared of it. I know that there's a local race, Anderson County, I believe, where they saw a lot of crossover. You know, it would disqualify Donald Trump from running for
because he voted for Democrats.
Yeah. Well, but also Ronald Reagan was a Democrat. He was a Truman Democrat, and he was often quoted as saying, "I didn't leave the Democrat Party; they left me." So I don't know what we're after exactly, because we control the Republican Party is in the House and the Senate and in the governor's office. So I'm not really sure. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I would like to see some compelling arguments on the other side, and I'm sure there are.
But you're not convinced that it's broken?
No, but I don't have a vote in it. It'll be the legislature. Our Republican Executive Committee passed it. It'll go to the legislature. And from what I understand, the House is more in favor. I believe Glenn Casada was, somebody told me that he was at the meeting, which I'm not sure if he was or wasn't, but the Senate is a little more.
Tim, do you agree that the driving force for the Republicans, and I don't want to certainly speak for your party, but it's the hard right that wants to close it because they want to keep the moderates, and I'm not going to put a moderate label on you or a hard right label on you. You're sort of all over the place depending on the issue, and that's part of your electability, I suspect. But that said, that's the driving force behind it. It's the hard right wants to try to win more hard right seats because they're afraid of the moderates and the independents coming over and voting in your primary.
Yeah, I think too it's just like the federal level. Ms. Cortez is encouraging primary opposition to moderate Democrats. I think you're seeing that in both parties.
Sure, I mean that happens on both sides.
I would just suggest to the folks, though, Tennessee is a very conservative legislature, and they have a very successful legislature. Bond ratings are through the roof. People like Randy McNally and others in our, we're very fortunate to have people like him at the helm that can kind of steer the boat in a very conservative manner. And I would just hope that we would hit the brakes a little bit and study the issue.
Well, doesn't that speak to, though, the fact that it is working right now without having to take that action?
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Constituent services is something you have always said is of prime importance. I'm just wondering how you plan to keep in touch with the constituents, with the district. We used to, at least I used to get about once a quarter, one of those newsletters from Congressman Duncan. I don't know if you're going to do that. I don't know if you plan to do town halls. What are you thinking?
Well, my father, who I trusted very much, told me one time, he said that nothing really gets decided in a town hall setting. It allows people to vent, but I do plan to do that. There's safety concerns, of course. You know, I can't tell you, I should have had Don there to talk about it in Washington, because it is, one fellow was talking and said, look, I got shot at twice, once in my district and once out on that baseball field.
Right.
And he said, you've got to take consideration. So there are considerations of that, and also just the logistics. And two, I want to make sure that it's not just some orchestrated thing from either my side or the other side, but people with genuine concerns. And of course, we'll be doing some of those. I'd like to do one before Christmas. I just don't know if I can get it done, the logistics of it, just to hear what people have to say.
One of the things your predecessor said is that if a constituent wanted to meet with him, generally they could meet one-on-one with the congressman.
Sure.
He did that, yeah.
Is that something?
Absolutely, absolutely. As a legislator, I met with folks regardless of their backgrounds. I never checked on it. You know, it's funny, I have this little card here with me, but I remembered I was in the state Senate with a person who, not in my party, but it really didn't matter. They would look on their list if they were a contributor or not, and it determined the amount of time they stayed with them. And I just don't buy that. I don't look at those lists, and it's everybody, you know, at that point I am democracy to that person, and we'll have.
So call the office if they.
Yeah, we're going to, and it'll be the same phone numbers, by the way. We're trying to get that, and I know that we hope that they're not ever shut down in the transition, but the efficiency of the federal government is greatly surpasses anything that I imagined in my life. So hopefully they won't have to cut the lines off at any time, and we'll just be a seamless, because a lot of people want to change the number. Oh, I'm a new person. I think that's ridiculous.
Tim, legislatively, you talked a little bit earlier about mental health issues possibly, but what are some things you would like to see come up legislatively very early in your first term?
I would hope we honestly talk about energy independence, Don. We start looking at science, we're looking at technology. You know, there's talk of a federal gas tax. And we've got to look at these autonomous vehicles, electronic vehicles that are not buying the gas but are still running on the roads. And there has to be some equality there, because adding a tax on the working people and not leveling, making the playing field level, we're not looking ahead. I saw where one of the major insurance carriers is now starting to focus away from automobile insurance and start getting into ID theft. Is going to be one of their big pushes because they're afraid, excuse me, they're afraid that these autonomous automobiles will in fact be owned by the government. It'll be, and not by the individuals. And so there's a lot of discussion of that. I know that's a little bit out there, and of course
that's pretty far out there, Tim.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. It just happens overnight. It's 5 years later, and you know, the largest taxi cab service in the country is Uber. The largest motel. A individual person-driven, not government-driven business. Absolutely, Airbnb, and you just go down the list, and it's changing. All that little cell phone is a major television network now.
Other than energy independence, what other things would you like to see?
I'd like to see, let's reform the VA. Let's truly reform the VA. Let's listen to our veterans.
And that means what to you?
That means to me that you, as an honorably discharged veteran, carries a card with them and can go see any physician, and I go down to Long's drugstore if I want to get a prescription. I can literally walk there, but still, some of our veterans, even after all the changes, they still got to hop. Yeah, the Choice Act. They still got to hop on a bus or some form of transportation and go to Johnson City to see a doctor and to see a pharmacist. And to me, that's just wrong. It's a simple solution. And you want to do something for these rural hospitals that are going out of business, that would do something, because it's taken a lot of their bread and butter and shipping it to Johnson City away from these rural areas where they should be having their own health care.
Congressman-elect, we appreciate the time this morning. Thanks very much.
Brother.
Best of luck to you in D.C., and we hope to have you back soon. We're back with our talk around right after this.